Alright, good to go. Yeah, sweet. Thanks. Fuck. Alright. Alright, well, sweet.
What's his name?
Welcome back to another episode of the Notorious Experience. Something different this week. Life's been a bit crazy, so I thought I'd do something different. If you're watching, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, even though there's no guest on. But yeah, I guess we'll get straight into it. I'll give a little bit of a life update. So we just moved into a new place. So things have been a bit all over the shop at the moment. But yeah, we moved into a new house. New apartment, loving it. Finally got a proper desk set up so I can crank out some episodes. But I actually might be recording in a studio soon. Thanks to my good mate Maddie, who was on the second episode. But yeah, so watch out for that one. Hopefully soon, depending on how it all goes. But that'll be pretty exciting. Yeah, I was off coffee for a while. I think 2.5, almost 3 weeks. Fuck, that was hard. But I'll get into that when I do the coffee podcast with the coffee expert that I said I was going to do. So that'll be kind of interesting. Yeah, I wanted to do a breakdown of the fights that happened over the weekend. A pretty fucking crazy, a historic card. So I thought I'd go deep into my bag here and show how much I know about MMA and the sport of UFC and all of that. So here we go. I'll just do the main 3 fights, I think, in the main card, because I think that's what everyone tuned in for. But before I do, give it kind of a shout out to well, first Andy, my boy, got me these gloves fucking in year 11, year 12, 2016, 2017 for my birthday. Love those. Matty Georges gave me this picture of Whitaker getting his belt. But yeah, UFC is probably my top 3 sports behind basketball and NRL. NRL's kind of, footy's kind of heading down the slope, but it's just super exciting. My dad's always been into it. I started really getting deep into it on the rise of Conor. I think I watched his first fight, and then I let my brother know. I was like, fuck, this guy's crazy. But his rise was up when I was like 16, turning 17, when he just beat Aldo. So that's who I fell in love with at the time. Hence the name, the Notorious Experience, is a nickname that I had in high school. But yeah, speaking of Conor, was actually an interesting fighter, Ian Gary, who I think is his UFC debut. He's 8-0, he's a welterweight, Irish. It's kind of like the nicer version of Conor. So he's on the rise, which is pretty exciting for the welterweight division, but it looks like he's got all the tools to make a good run, have a good career. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. And being Irish, the Irish fans are always going to, turn up and make it even bigger. So it's kind of exciting for the welterweight division, especially having Khamzat Chimaev on the rise too. I think he's ranked 10. But imagine if they, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, Khamzat's champion, Ian Gary's on the rise. Khamzat's like the evil version of Khabib, it'll be crazy. Khabib, Conor 2.0, but it'll be the other way around. Chimaev will be the evil guy, and Ian Gary will be the hero. So that'll be crazy. And Chris Barnett, 120 kilos. He came out dancing. He looks like the funniest bloke. Came out dancing, did a spinning real kick to drop the guy and then finish him. And he does a backflip and lands on his ass for celebrations. Just reminded me of Kung Fu Panda. So that guy looks pretty exciting too. We'll kick it off with the fight that started the main card and the one that I think a lot of people are looking forward to, Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler. That was crazy. Honestly, it was like it was a war between them. Everyone knew going into it that they were just going to throw hands and get wild with it. But it kind of, sometimes with those fights, it doesn't really live up to the expectation. I remember Diaz and Masvidal for the BMF title. That one it got stopped early because of a cut, so it never really lived up to that expectation. But man, this one's it exceeded expectations. Obviously, Gaethje won by decision, which I think was pretty clear. He used his leg kicks really well, which is quite notorious for, but the lower leg kicks to the calf made it hard for Chandler to move and load up on his kicks, but also load up on his punches. And I gave him something else to think about. Is he going to kick me? Which opened up his Gaethje's hands. So Gaethje did really well in that aspect, which I think he was expected to. But Michael Chandler, man, walking through those punches, hands down, throwing bombs, his stock only went up from there. So I don't think, although he lost and it probably delays his chance at a title fight, I think it's still good for his career. I think they've both got a bonus, and it'll set up Michael Chandler for more exciting fights in the future. But that nasty uppercut that Gaethje hit, man, that was crazy. I'll show it on the screen as well, and I'll just play it here. Every shot, you could hear the impact. It was like freaking two antelopes, or whatever you call it, going at it. It's like bone on bone. Watch it here. Crazy. So clean on the spot. Even Chandler to just get up from there is even crazy, man. That would have put most guys to sleep. So props to Chandler for getting up on there and continuing to fight. I was around 2 when that uppercut was. I was watching that in the Westfields while Natalie was shopping. What's next for them? I think Justin will go on to fight for the titles, which is pretty obvious, between Poirier and Oliveira. So whoever wins out of that, I think Justin will get a crack at. And then for Chandler, like I said, he's set himself for some exciting fights. After that one, it shows he can throw down and he's willing to put on the show. So I was gonna say Hooker, but he actually already fought Hooker and he knocked him out. And Hooker deserves an exciting fight and a good payday off the back of what he did on the short notice. But I think even Conor might be an option for Chandler. I'm not sure if Conor would take that. I think he's more of a, as much as I used to love Conor, he's more of a he thinks he's deserving of a title fight straight away, which I think he's kind of got to work his way back up to. So Conor, which would be very exciting. I think everyone will look forward to that. Or Dos Anjos. Dos Anjos needs to work his way back up. The next big fight on the card was Rose Namajunas, Fug Rose, and Weili Zhang. Something about Rose, you just gotta love her. I don't know if it's because she's good looking or it's just her persona, but everyone kind of loves her in the MMA community. She did what she had to. She won by decision, defending her title. It was a rematch off the head kick knockout that she got on her last time. So all she had to do was hit and move, which is what she did. She controlled the fight. On the floor, you could tell she was on another level of her grappling, able to reverse maneuvers and get on top of her. She did what she had to as a champion, and she won that fight. Weili Zhang looked like she was trying to get her back on the knockout when they're on the feet, trying to land big shots that she couldn't actually reach her with because Rose was a bit too smart, and having Trevor Whitman as her coach, which is also the coach of Gaethje and Usman, he's not going to fall for that trap, and he's going to tell her to fight smart and stay composed, which is what they did. And then the main event, which the whole world was looking forward to this. Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington, and even this, I think it lived up to expectations. I actually had a draw, and reason being, I would have gave it 10-9 Usman first round, possible 10-8 because he got 2 knockdowns, but it was at the very end. So a possible 10-8, and then I had the next 3 rounds for Covington. Covington tagged him, and I think he took him down. There's a bit of controversy that they didn't count the takedown that he got. They said it wasn't a complete takedown or something, so it didn't go towards the points, but that should have been counted a takedown, and that's big, man. I don't think Usman's ever been taken down, so I think that might have been the first time. But yeah, I think it was a draw, to be honest. Covington tagged him a couple times, apart from, Usman did drop him twice, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, this is when Usman dropped him twice, which is why it might be a 10-8 round. I look there, bam, left hook. You see him smile for a sec. And then Covington to come back from that, it was round 2, come back from that, almost got stopped and keep the fight going, but bring the fight to him was pretty crazy. It shows his heart. But Usman's so fucking well rounded right now. Like, you can't wrestle with him. As I said, he hasn't been taken down apart from that fight. You can't wrestle with him, and when you're standing with him, you got to kind of pick your shots carefully because he'll knock you out in one punch, as we saw with Masvidal. He's just getting better and better, so I don't know who can beat him at the moment. Everyone's saying Khamzat Chimaev should get a shot, but he's still quite early. He's ranked 10 at the moment. I might be wrong, but I think his record's 10-0. So I think he's still got a couple fights before he can get the shot, but also before he'll be ready. I still don't think he's ready, even though he's a freak of nature and he's smashing everyone. But yeah, Covington, man, he tagged him a couple times, he wobbled him a couple times. I think he's actually, well, Dana said it, and so did Usman. He's like the next best fighter after Usman. If Usman's not there, he's champion. So there's a lot of shit talk going into it, and that lived up to its expectations. What's next for him? I think it's raining. I don't know if you can hear that. It's pouring down rain. What's next for them? I think Leon Edwards, if he beats Masvidal, maybe this weekend or next weekend, soon. I think in a couple of weeks actually. If he beats Masvidal, he's a clear-cut title contender. I think he's on a crazy win streak at the moment. So he's been waiting for his title shot for a while. But yeah, he's next. Definitely not boxing Canelo. He said he wanted to box Canelo. Number 1 pound for pound MMA versus number 1 pound for pound boxing, but I don't think that's the right idea, man. Everyone's kind of chasing that bag, and there's big money in boxing, so power to them for trying to. But as Dana said at the press conference, you don't want to box Canelo. If Covington can tag him multiple times in 2 fights, he tagged him in the first fight as well. Canelo's gonna fucking destroy him. And I know this one's might be a bit bigger and I wouldn't even say stronger. I reckon Canelo's got a stronger punch, but when it's just the hands, Canelo will just put a masterclass on. So for Covington, like I said, he lived up to what he said he was gonna do. Didn't win the fight, but his stock only went up as well. He didn't get knocked out. He's Usman's hardest fight twice now, so he might have to verse someone like Vicente Luque if he wants to stay at the top. If he wants to chase the bag, he called out Masvidal, so if Masvidal loses against Leon Edwards, that might be a possible fight. Even if Masvidal wins, actually, because he's versed Usman twice, he might have to verse Covington to get that 3rd shot. So Masvidal is actually a pretty good contender for him. He called him out too. I know he talks a lot, but that'll be a big payday for both guys. Or Khamzat Chimaev. Maybe after one more fight for Khamzat, that might be a possible. If Khamzat can get past Covington, he'll get the title shot. That'll be a big payday for them too. Before I get off this, Covington's shit talking. A lot of people hate him and think he's too outspoken or ridiculous or says stupid shit or sometimes racist shit as well. But people wouldn't know this in the MMA community, but Joe Rogan, I think, told the story on his podcast that I think the UFC came to Covington after one of his fights and said like they're gonna cut him, they don't like his fighting style, he's too boring. This is when he wasn't talking as much on the mic. So then he came out after, who did he? He fought someone in Brazil, I can't remember who. And then after the fight, so here's the famous, he called out like the crowd, he's like, you're a bunch of filthy animals, Brazil's a dump. And that saved his career. After that, and he called out Tyron Woodley. After that, UFC had no choice but to keep him because it caused an uproar and the fans wanted to see him lose. So he kind of saved his career by talking shit. And he puts on this act. But everyone that, like, people who meet him who's not a fighter always say he's like the nicest bloke. So and you saw the embrace between Covington and Usman at the end of the fight. But yeah, so don't be fooled by the mic. It's always to sell fights and shit. What's I gonna get to next week? I'll go back to having a guest on, so be back to the original format, having a guest on, conversation, interview type thing. So that should be pretty exciting. I won't announce who yet. I'll do that on my Instagram, which, speaking of, started a podcast Instagram, so be sure to follow that. That'll just be more content about the podcast, about the journey, things that I'm doing, announcements, clips of the podcast and all that sort of stuff. So that's just called the Notorious Experience on Insta. Link will be in the description below. It's also my personal page description. And I also started a YouTube clips page. So on this page I'll be posting, the whole long form content. On the clips page I'll be posting 2 to 3 minute videos from each podcast, I know some people like to listen to shorter bits. I actually do. I listen to JRE clips, because Rogan's podcasts go for about an hour to 2 hours. Sometimes I don't have that time, so he just posts some of the most interesting parts of it on that page. So that's what I'll be doing too. Some short form content, 2 to 5 minutes each video, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. But look forward to being back next week and hopefully in the studio soon. So stay tuned. Again, thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll see you next week. Later.
When it's bluffing, say talking, I don't trust him. Only if you do it often, if it ain't really forgotten. No, it ain't my problem.